So it's just a few words about satsang. Satsang is about our true nature, meaning the transparency of being, meaning the no personal self, the vastness of being, the love, the freedom, the joy, the beauty that shines onto the world, but that is not the result of the world. It is not a consequence of your experience. It is not a consequence of your perceptions, of your sensations. It is the light that shines from beyond. From beyond is just an expression to basically point to the formless self, the infinite invisible presence. So when we welcome, we're always welcoming that. We're welcoming the transparency of being. We're not welcoming a bundle of thoughts, a bundle of emotions, and bundles of feelings. We're not welcoming a historical being, somebody who is in time and space. No, we are welcoming the divine light that shines within us, that shines through us onto the world, onto the body-mind. So welcome to Satsang, and if you have any questions, we could go into them. Hello, Raul. So Raul, you write, hello all. Thank you for the invitation. I will write since my English is not good. Okay, very well, Raul. Please, feel free. As you are taking your time in writing, if you have any question, I will move to Ananda's question, or comment. Ananda, you write, one moment. You write in a recent post, you said that there is no way to eliminate fragmentation. We must see that it is an illusion. I find that the sense of want, need, desire get confused with preference, natural tendencies, and inclinations. Okay. So,
if there's some connection between the first and second clause of that.
Yeah, let me go through this again. So you write in a recent post, you said that there is no way to eliminate fragmentation. I rarely remember what I write in posts or what I say in satsang, but since we can look at this freshly. So fragmentation meaning the belief and the sense that I am a separate person living in an external. There is an external world to my person. That I basically am a body mind. I'm a form that exists in time and space. Yes, that there is no way to eliminate that because that's illusion. There is like how can you eliminate Santa Claus? You can only Santa Claus to eliminate. You can't go and fire Santa Claus. You can only come to the understanding that that Santa Claus is just a figment of your imagination. We all agree on that. It's a shared imagination, and it's a playful one. So really have no problem with Santa Claus. So in that sense, you cannot eliminate an illusion. You can only come to see it. You can come to an understanding that separation is illusion. That understanding has different levels to it. You could understand it intellectually by thinking about it and sort of via reasoning. You can come to understand that yes, indeed, what I perceive is actually myself. So there can be an understanding, and that understanding can deepen. There is that understanding can take root in your being, in your feeling state, in your sensory state, in your life, and it can take root to the extent that the sense of separation no longer arises. So coming back to what you were writing, Ananda, yes, in the recent post you said there is no way to eliminate fragmentation. Correct, because it's illusion. We must see that it is an illusion. Right. then you're right. I find that the sense of want, need, and desire get confused with the natural tendency. Yes. Each one of us has a natural tendency or natural tendencies. Some people are more artistic than others. They're drawn towards music and the arts. Some other are more interested in tinkering with creating in the physical world. They have creative tendencies. Some have a certain physical tendencies that differ from body mind to body mind. So the fact that, for example, you like small gatherings instead of large crowds, because some people grow up in big families and they are habituated to being with large group of people, or they resent it. They cannot stand it.
Yeah.
And vice versa, there are some who come from smaller families and they are more drawn towards smaller gatherings, or they really want to compensate for growing up in a small family, and they seek larger. So there are tendencies that we have that are innocent. They're not to be confused with experiencing a sense of lack that you must fulfill or else. So desire, usually we use this term to refer to a seeking something in order to get a fulfillment.
Yes.
It's quite different from, for example, needing rest or needing some quiet or needing a social interactions. There are some physiological human tribe tendencies that we have that are not connected with trying to plug in an internal emptiness. And you can recognize that by asking yourself, okay, well, I am drawn towards, there is an experience that I'm seeking. And if that doesn't occur, if that doesn't realize itself, is it okay? And if the answer is, yeah, it's okay, that's a good indication for you that it is not coming from ignorance. But if you find that not fulfilling that wish of yours makes you miserable, that's an indication that it is coming from ignorance.
Yeah, makes sense. It's just it seems like there's such a subtle interface between these two. I mean,
it's subtle, but
I
at
look
the
forward
same
to it being completely clear that what you're saying,
Yeah. It is subtle because we play games with ourselves. We delude ourselves. We may find that we're really attached to a certain experience or a certain object that we desire. But at the same time, we like to think of ourselves as free. So although our attachment is so strong that we're miserable if we don't have that fulfilled, we like to think that we like to think better about ourselves. And so we say, well, it's very subtle, it's really subtle. But it's all in the subtlety. I mean, and it's available to us to
No, but I'm laughing because I say it's subtle just as an excuse. It's like,
Yes, so
right,
is what I'm saying, right?
right, right. Mhm, mhm.
So it's better to be sincere with that, with yourself, and say, well, listen, I really need that, I want that, it feels important to me, okay, and I must have it, because at least you're being honest with yourself, okay, and
Yeah,
I'm not going to be happy until I have it. That's being honest with yourself. If that's
yeah,
truly, then yes, that's what's happening. You
yeah.
really feel that this is really important for you, for your happiness, and go get it.
And
And
actually, hearing that kind of talk, self-talk, makes me laugh too. You know, I must have. And then
and what sometimes we need to really live our fantasy to see that it's a fantasy, even if it stings us. It may
mm,
be helpful for us to experience that. You know, there are, sometimes that's the way in which we learn. I mean, it would be really preferable to uh, understand that process of endlessly projecting our happiness outside of ourselves,
mhm,
um, without having to live it, to live that process. But it's unavoidable for us to a certain extent live
mhm,
this chasing
mhm, mhm.
the object, getting the object, being happy for a fleeting moment, and then realizing that that's really not it. And sometimes we have to go through that a few times
Mm,
to realize that. And sometimes we may find friends that may tell us, that that's not the path. And we may hear it, or maybe we don't want to hear it. But one of the things that I often share in satsang is that when we are seeking happiness in an object,
mhm.
once we get that red Maserati that we're going for, once we get that beautiful girlfriend that we think is gonna make our happiness, the reason why we are happy at that moment is because our desire has ended. At that moment, we have reached a desireless state. Once you have the object of your desire comes to zero and you're happy, not because you have the partner that you dreamed of, or you won the lottery, or because you have the promotion that you were seeking to get, but it's because at that moment you are desireless.
Mhm.
You're at
Yeah,
peace,
that's clear. Yeah.
at an inner.
There's one more. I see there's another question, but I have one more point about on this to ask you. That is, it seems like the kind of subtle yoga that we talk about, and that I've studied with John Klein, and that of kind of finding. Well, I'm thinking of it. Maybe this is a stretch, but I'm thinking about it as finding almost an inner bliss in the spaciousness where there used to be contraction. It's almost like the contraction is like a magnet that's trying to grab the. It's trying to neutralize itself by grabbing objects. It's something charged, like. But then finding spaciousness in the body and finding a kind of bliss within the body itself, then that whole tendency seems to
Mhm.
settle.
Yes, yes. Our true body is formless. Our true body is transparent. Is transparency of being. Our true body is cosmic body, spacious being. It's not the physical body that we are conditioned to. That's a download that we
Mm.
believe that the body is a physical form. Actually, as you know, science is still looking for matter. They still haven't found a piece of matter in this entire universe. They're looking for matter. They're looking for this object that we very, very strongly believe in. So yes, the body is a spacious beingness. You could say that the body is an aware space, is a infinite, borderless, universal aware space. And a contraction would be a download of the contracting into a form, which is all mind. It's a mental contraction into a form. It's a belief, a thought that has no foundation to it. A contraction arises in this belief that, oh, there is a form and I am this form, and then we feel that, we experience that. But that download, which is both a belief, meaning thinking and feeling, is arising in the vastness of being. So in the cosmic body. So when you're doing the yoga of infinite being, you invite whatever arises for you as a thought or a perception. You invite it. In other words, you welcome it. You do not go to battle with it. You do not try to fix it or to corner it or to shelf it or to categorize it. You remain in your innocence and your purity of being and your vulnerability. You're completely vulnerable, available in your wholeness for this experience, and so that it has complete freedom, which means that your experience is a complete experience because you remain as your wholeness. You are not meeting the experience with a certain specific point of view, with a certain belief, with this is good and that is bad. You're not meeting the experience with a judgment. You are meeting it with your not knowingness, with your openness, with your absence, and therefore that what initially arose as a contraction will reveal itself to be pure emptiness. It's a very good yoga to do, to work with. And what's nice about this yoga is that there isn't a very specific way to do it, because it is experimentation that you're doing within yourself, which are basically to relax into the vastness of being and invite whatever is arising to relax with you in your relaxation.
That's good.
Yes.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Yes.
A good pointer.
Right. And there isn't a judgment about, am I doing it right or am I doing it wrong? It's always right. There's no wrong. It's always right. Just the thought of that is right. Whatever way you work with that is right.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Amanda, okay. Hello, Raul. So, Raul, you're right about the fragmentation. To bring that liberating content that was hidden previously under the layer of wrong beliefs in the awareness focus, why is unavoidable the suffering? There can be, I continue with what you wrote, there can be something to simply make more easy going the acknowledgement of our wholeness? Question mark. Can there be something to simply make more easy going the acknowledgement of our wholeness? Yes, Raul. Wholeness, meaning non-fragmentation, is our true nature. It is our true experience. Awareness, which is our primary experience is non-fragmented. You cannot say my awareness or your awareness, because everybody is experiencing awareness. Then we say my, yours. That's not our experience. It's just a thought that arises. Oh, it's mine, my awareness, not your awareness. But in fact, we all are aware. When you're aware, if you ask somebody, are you aware? They say, I'm aware. You ask yourself, am I aware? Yes, I'm aware. Then you ask, what is the difference in awareness? There is no difference in awareness. There may be a difference in what we are perceiving. But awareness itself, we don't have an experience of different awareness. It's just awareness. So the wholeness or non-segmentation, non-division is our true nature. But we don't reflect upon that. Instead, we only follow our conditioned thinking. Our conditioned thinking is started from a very young age. Mine, me, my car, my home, my this, my wife, my husband, my money, my and my body. So we feel that this is where we live. That's where we need to live. We need to live with our concerns about I, me, and mine. And because we are living with these concerns, we're constantly thinking about what's happening to me, what happened to me, what's going to happen to my money, what's happened to my wife, to my car, to my money, to whatever, my children. There is a very little space left for us to contemplate. What am I truly? What is this I? And we have little time that is invested in contemplating the I that is awareness. In satsang, of course, we do that. We come and we sit as I awareness, the one I, one beingness, not a human being, but just pure beingness. So the more we contemplate, what am I truly, in not just thinking about it, but in the your direct experience, there isn't a me and a you. There is just pure being, pure awareness. On the screen, there are all sorts of images, or thoughts, perceptions, but the awareness is the same, and it's never divided. It's never less or more. There isn't more awareness or less awareness. It's just awareness. Thinking can come and say, oh, if I was more aware. And that's just a thought. In fact, this thought that says, if I was more aware, is arising equally in awareness than the thought that says, if I had a banana this morning. In other words, awareness isn't affected by the thoughts that appear to it. It's not augmented or diminished. Irrespective, when you dim the lights or when you turn the lights on, you're aware of less light or more light, but awareness is the same awareness. So the contemplation that will get to the core of the experience of fragmentation is the contemplation of the I. I refers to the formless, invisible self. The I that perceives right now, this perception is not perceived. You perceive, but you are not perceived as an object. And yet there is no denial to your perception that I am, I is a reality that perceives, but this reality is not perceived. This is why we refer to it as infinite invisible. The reality is not what is perceived, but is what perceives, which is imperceivable, unperceivable, non-perceivable, but it is known. Not known as you know the oak tree in the yard. It is known via knowingness. So you know that you're aware, and you know that you are. So there is a direct knowingness that the I am knows, is self-knowing, knows the I am. I am knows I am. I am is self-knowing. It's a light that shines onto itself. And that light that shines onto itself shines onto the world, onto the mind, and onto the body. So so suffering, you say suffering, you say why is unavoidable? Why is the suffering unavoidable? The suffering is a choice. We choose to be fascinated by me as a body. Even when we realize that, oh, I am the infinite presence, I am the invisible beingness, you will find, even upon this understanding, we will continue to behave and act and feel and express ourselves as a person. So the suffering is is forgetting what is precious and deciding to live with your personal concerns. So as a person, to worry and to hope and fear and experience all those emotions. So the invitation is for you to stop it, to stop maintaining this thoughts and entertaining these thoughts about you as a man or as a person. It sounds like, oh my God, it's a big challenge. But it's not. Because right now you're neither a man nor a woman. You're just pure awareness, pure presence. But maybe you want to argue that you're a man, or you want to argue that you're a woman, or you want to argue that you are this and you are that. I'm speaking generically. I'm not speaking to you personally, Raul, because I never met you personally yet. So I'm speaking generically. And because we argue about what we are and what we hold dear as a person, our belief, our family, whatever we hold on to, we maintain ourselves in ignorance and in suffering. So suffering is avoidable when you decide that enough is enough. The charade is coming to an end now. Yeah, just keep turning your attention to the invisible, aware presence that is your actual experience. Keep turning your attention to that. And notice that this aware presence has no name, no shape, no gender, no age, no beginning, no end. It is a universal beingness. You're welcome, Raul. Hello, Randa. Randa, you're right. On the relative plane, there is a conflict and guilt between the conditioning of the past and the preferences that are important now. What is the best way to deal with this conflict? You have to let go of the past, Randa. And preferences that you have are always related to the past. Now, there can be an immediate preference that arises to you out of this pure presence. Oh, I prefer to eat strawberries and not banana. Or I prefer to go for a walk and not sit home and read a book. Now, these are preferences that may arise spontaneously out of presence. They're not arising from let me just put it another way. A preference that, like I was speaking earlier to Ananda, that arises for you. And as long as this preference, if it does not occur for you, if it does not unfold for you, you are still okay, then it's fine. I have the preference to go to the movies, and I end up going to dinner. Same. I have a preference to go to dinner. I end up having friends coming over, and we sit down and we play Scrabble, whatever. It's the same. I'm okay either way. So if you're okay either way, then the preference is not a problem. But the spoiler is not a preference. The spoiler is that I perceive that my happiness, my well-being, depends on a certain outcome. And when we believe that our happiness depends on a certain outcome, we are identified as an object that depends on another object. So I am identified as a Magdi, as a person, as a body-mind, whose happiness depends on another object or an experience or whatever, is on some form, on some phenomenal form. Because only an object relates to another object. The objectless self doesn't relate to objects. It's only relates to consciousness. It perceives and experiences everything as consciousness. So in terms of Randa, you wrote, it is a preference for solitude and not being around extended family during holiday. You are singing to the choir, Randa. You know, we are a social tribe and we have to compromise sometimes. Small compromises, you know, like the holidays are one of these times where it becomes too much, you know, too much family. I come from a large family. We were 6 brothers. I mean, I have 5 brothers in total of 6 brothers with the wives and the nephews and the nieces. It becomes quite a circus when we get together. But, you know, you can, in the middle of all this cacophony, sometimes you can just be sitting around on the couch, just relaxing, watching the show. As long as your preference for solitude is overall in your life respected and honored, with an occasional interruption, it's okay. What's the big deal? And you can relax sometimes on when these situations arise. Don't hold on tight to your I'm a solitary person and I like solitude, and who are these people? They don't have any respect for solitude and quietness, blah, blah. You know how we can spin in our judgment and our thinking. So it's not a big deal sometimes to experience something different. Nothing really bad is going to happen to you. It may even be a good thing for you to loosen up a little bit about your solitude. Too much solitude is not such a good thing. I don't think that's a conflict, you know. Yeah, we don't make a conflict where there isn't any. I don't see your preference for solitude and being with the family during holiday as being a conflict. It's not such a big deal. And sometimes people can even feel your inner peace, even a lot of people around. You don't have to be like the, perfect quiet peace. No, just in your natural way, because there is an inner peace within you. You know, people can sense that. It's a good thing, and also it's a good thing for you to experience people's folly and sense of play and craziness, and don't be too stuck on one side or the other. I'm not saying that you are, but hello, Raul. You're right, my camera is not working, but I will keep making questions despite my incognito status. It will make them look perhaps too abstract in the process of becoming free of ignorance. In the process of becoming free of ignorance, diminishing that, more painful result to be on the wrong side of the identification, and more happy is to be on the other side of the consciousness, being the empty and clear. Are those in a sort of balance? Is that good to keep in mind? I'm trying to get a grasp of your question, Raul. Diminishing in the process of becoming, like the balance between the bad and the good. Okay, what are you trying to balance? The consciousness, the other side of the consciousness, sort of balance. Raul, the balance is not a balance between good and bad. It's not a balance between wisdom and ignorance, or between happiness and unhappiness, or between knowing yourself as consciousness and being in ignorance. Balance is our natural state, you could say. But it's not a balance between different experiences or between different states. It's like the sky, the infinite sky, is in balance, meaning it is in balance within itself. It has no, there is no doubt or no conditions by which it could be anything else but what it is. So our true nature, meaning the formless self, meaning this awareness or the emptiness, has no opposite. Freedom, joy, peace, happiness have no opposite. It's not a balance between good and evil. Good and evil is a result of thinking, is a separative mind that classifies this is good and that is bad. And we need to balance the good and bad. We need to balance the yin and yang. We need to balance the positive and the negative. It's already in balance. There is nothing disturbing the infinite sky. The clouds that arise in the sky don't disturb it. The dreams that arise for you in your night dream don't disturb the dreamer. Whatever form arises doesn't disturb the formless. So don't try to think too much about how it works. Simply recognize the inner peace, the simplicity, the effortlessness, the restfulness, the ease, which is very different from the mind spinning, thinking about me and how is it, where is the good, where is the bad, and how do I find my way? No, go directly to it. Go directly to the peace of being, because it's directly available to you. You are the source of peace, and you are the expression of peace, of freedom, of beauty, of love, of joy. In consciousness, awareness, beingness, God, manifestation, it's all the light of being. It's all infinite beingness. you won't get to it by thinking about it or by studying it. You get to it by being it, meaning recognizing that you are that. I am the transparency of being. It is this transparency, this invisible self, invisible, infinite, invisible beingness that is, you could say, it is what speaks and what hears, simultaneously speaks and hears, speaks and is spoken, perceives and is perceived. You are perceiving your own perceptions and you are listening to your own expression. So that intimacy is never removed from you, but you need to recognize it. Recognize that at a certain level, in this very moment, there is perfection. And that this perfection has no cause, no causality. It's a living, lived perfection that is awaiting for you to recognize it. And it is your recognition that is the light. So move back. Don't move forward. Move backward to the source behind your being, not downstream of your senses, not downstream of your thinking. Upstream, before your thinking, before your perception. What am I? Because downstream from your perception, you will not find what you are. You will only find forms and objects and thoughts, but what you are is at the source. The what am I is before the thought, before good and bad. So your balance, the balance that you're seeking or that you're speaking about, is not a balance between good and bad or between darkness and light. It is before lightness and darkness, before good and bad, before birth and death. So Oh, yes. Tara just said, yes. You are invited to, you're welcome to join. There is a retreat that I am holding in Costa Rica in March. What are the days, Tara? March 2nd to March 5th or something like that. Anyways, on my Facebook page, oh yes, March 2 to 5, yeah, March 2 to 5. And the cost is $450. And that includes food and lodging. So it is it's a nice setting. There are private rooms, and it's a quiet place outside of San Jose, about maybe half hour, 40 minutes outside of San Jose. So you are welcome to join the retreat, register for the retreat if you care to, on my Facebook page and on the meetup group. There is some information. You could always message me, or if you are a member of the meetup, you can also send a message via the meetup or via Facebook, and I can give you some information about it. Ananda, so you're right. So the preferences that one happens to have can be enthusiastically followed and lived without there being any ambivalence in the reality. Yes, as long as these preferences, if it goes in any other direction, all is well. So your litmus test is the preference does not
Right.
get fulfilled and you're not feeling happy. Then I would say that it is not the preference that I'm talking about, which is just arising out of your freedom. Because we are free to prefer, we are free to choose, but we are also free to suffer. And if you choose to suffer, then you cannot at the same time speak of peace and happiness.
Seems like that. Seems that obsessiveness of the mind is the hallmark of suffering. You know, and that's maybe what takes. That's what makes something not a preference actually, but a need.
The mind has a master. The mind is not the master. The mind appears to you and you say yes. So there is a master that says yes to the mind. So the obsessiveness of the mind is secondary to the master. So it's not so much the obsessiveness of the mind. It is our going along with it. It's our agreement.
I'm thinking even the word obsessive. There could be a fascination with a subject like music or something, and that's chugging along full speed.
But there is a difference between passion and obsession.
Yes.
Passion has a happiness in it, has a certain freedom in it. It's arising from the beyond, while an obsession has a character, a personal character in it that is seeking to find a personal happiness. Do you follow the difference between obsession and passion? So
yes,
passion is a download from consciousness. Consciousness says, wow, love, food, and swim, whatever. I have a passion for music, a passion for, and it may change.
Right.
While an obsession is not being able to let go of something, there is a character, there is a personal character
Okay.
behind the scene that is upset, that is sort of pushing. You know that game where there is a wheel that's turning, and then every now and then you have to give it a little more of a spin so it keeps turning. And if you don't give it that spin, after a while it stops turning. So an obsession is like you have to keep giving that wheel is a push to keep it spinning. The character that is in living through their obsession is in deep despair. There is a despair and a hope that something in this obsession is going to end this obsession, is going to relieve this obsession.
Right.
While a passion, you know, it has a celebratory. So because we love it, we do it. We don't even feel the time. You know, we can play piano for 4 hours. It may feel like, oh, I just sat for 5 minutes, but that's how it is with a passion. You know, like when you're painting, for example, you really have a passion for painting. You just you know. But now, if you're trying to be a good painter, you're obsessing about being a good painter. You're painting, but there's this judgment, and they're like, "Oh no, this is wrong. No, I've got to do it right this way. This way." That's that. It doesn't have that flow in it. Doesn't have that freedom in it. Doesn't have the joy in it. So it's quite a difference between obsessing and having a passion, being passionate about something.
You know, these what's coming to my mind is these. I've been doing this nursing work for a long time, and there's always a supervisor or a director of the nurses. And some of them are kind of obsessed about the paperwork being perfect, the not breaking any rules, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And then somehow are passionate about the whole thing, you know, doing everything as beautifully as possible and as well as possible. What a difference in the feeling that it makes, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, came to mind.
Yes. I see that. I see what you mean.
Well, this I just want to express some appreciation, lots of appreciation for the hangout, and as the week goes around, certain things are always being mulled over and whatever, and then and then get to
it's
clear it up, clarify it. Yeah.
Yes.
Very good.
A good thing. You know, we are very fortunate to be meeting together like this regularly.
Yes. So, thank you.
There is a subtle redirecting. You know, like when a boat is going to port, and you change it by 1 degree.
Yeah.
After 10 Nautilus miles, this 1 degree maybe 4 miles, you know, or you know.
Yes.
These little changes in the direction, in the understanding, are this is the way.
Yeah, that's a beautiful. That's a great analogy. It's yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Nanda. Hello, Raoul. You're right. When a thought appears, it looks like looked into, and after a millisecond, it looks like it's dragging the attention onto what is meant to. That's a thought. That's a thought, by the way, Raoul. Because when a thought appears, in fact, when a thought appears, it dissolves before. I mean, it doesn't have any time to it. It just appears and then it dissolves as it appears. So it looks like looked into, and after a millisecond looks like it's dragging the attention onto what is meant to. What drags into a thought, Raoul, is when there is a me inside the thought, when the thought is personal. It's about, for example, do they love me? Or did I make a good decision? Was I appreciated? Did I give a good talk? Whatever. That is the me that drives it. It's that unhappiness that is dragging. Because the thought may have gone already. That, oh, did they like me? The thought is gone, but the feeling remains. The feeling of, oh, I don't know if I did so good. I don't know if I'm loved. The feeling is more what drags, not so much the thought. The passion is that arising, and the obsession is the object. Points towards the object. The passion is that arising, and the obsession points to the object. Yes. The obsession always has an object, and it's about an object. Is a subject and an object. In obsession, there is a me and something, an object that I'm obsessing about. While passion is a happy arising. It's like the gift from God that's arising, saying dance or sing or write or go for a walk. Because it's arising from the freedom. It has freedom in it. It's not attached to an object, nor is it attached to a subject. So in the passion, there isn't an object and a subject, while in obsession there is. I'm sorry, Raoul, sometimes maybe I don't fully understand your question. I may be answering maybe not exactly to your question, but I'm doing my best with it. Okay. I'm not sure if I answered your full question, but yeah. The thought is, in a way, thought is innocent. What gets us into trouble is the me thought, the thought that I am mortal body mind. You see, so that's more than a thought; it's a belief. See, a belief is a thought that has no basis to it, no supportive evidence to it, and that's the spoiler. Is the belief that I am the body mind, that I am mortal. And because there is this belief, we feel as we are some object, while our experience is that of pure awareness. But we feel that, oh no, we're a man, we're a woman, something is happening to us. But in fact, in our actual experience, nothing is happening to awareness. You see, that's the craziness about it. Is that in your actual experience, you are this pure presence. But then there is that feeling that, oh, something's happening to me. I hope and pray something good is going to happen to me. Oh, why did this bad thing happen to me? So it's the feeling that is more sticky. Belief and the feeling come together. And so when you turn your attention to your actual experience, you can't turn your attention to the thinking, because the thinking has an infection in it. It is not pure. It has in it, I am a body mind. You are another. You cannot think via your regular thinking about presence, except if you already have had an experience of a sense, an intuition of presence, then you can sort of maybe have a way of recollecting something that brings you back to presence. You know, in the Buddhists, they use a bell. They strike a bell. Ding! And the bell resonates, and they recollect presence. So our actual experience is before the thinking about I as a person. It is before the thought. Yes, the essence of thought is what I believe about me. Yes. In the thought, in some thought, which you refer to as ignorance, there is the belief that I am somebody. But our true experience is not I am somebody. It's complete silence, complete pure presence. Even right now, as you hear these words, it is this pure presence that hears these words. Any other questions? Okay, well, Holly? Yes, hello, Holly.
Hey, my keyboard is broken, so
okay, Holly.
so this is very in line with a lot of what you've already discussed. So maybe you don't need to add too much more to it.
Okay.
But I've been really struggling this week with something that's come up a bunch over the last 5 years, which is a desire to move. And it has all the qualities that we're discussing of something that's a desire, not a preference.
Mm-hmm.
It affects my happiness. I can see, I'm imagining once I'm moved, this desire not existing anymore and being gone permanently. So I'm really aware of all of the features that you've mentioned.
Yes.
So I don't know if you have maybe any additional advice.
Yes. You will know your desire to be in line or aligned with consciousness when the situations in your life will change in a way to facilitate the accomplishment of your desire. For example, if you right now, for example, you're living here and you have a job with a company here, and you have a friend, friends in the area, or a close friend in the area, and with your partner, you have a desire to move somewhere else. If, for example, you get a promotion in your job, and they tell you, okay, we give you a better job, or maybe similar job, but we have to transfer you to California, and this is where you were thinking of going. And at the same time, your partner is available to go with you, or your partner is in tune with you. And so there may be some changes in your life that occur from consciousness that facilitate this move. On the other hand, if you have a desire or a calling or something speaking to you to move, and in your life there are a lot of conditions that are basically saying, well, you cannot move right now, then you have to wait. I'm not talking about suppressing your desire or judging your desire, but you keep your desire, your interest to move unsuppressed, but you have to take in consideration what are the reality on the ground. Now, in some cases, to change job, for example, to leave your job or leave your neighborhood or leave your friends is not such a big deal, because you have other friends and you have other job opportunities available to you, or easy access to you, possibility to you in the other country or the other place that you want to move. In this situation, although there are things that are keeping you here, you still have similar opportunities available to you over there. And in that case, as long as your partner is going along with you, and maybe your family or some members of your family are dissatisfied with it, but it doesn't really matter that much to you, in that case, you could go. Now, I would like to add to that, Holly, that your happiness is totally independent of where you are. It comes to you from God. And the light of God doesn't shine more in California than it shines less in Antarctica. No, it's the same light of consciousness. This does not mean that you should not move to another country or another state if you feel like it, if it speaks to you. But to expect that you would be happier is would be an erroneous point of view, because you would be so surprised by what you may find over there. You may be loving being close to the ocean, maybe it is, I don't know. And then you will find that you're very upset by your neighbor's dog, or by, I don't know, it's maybe nuclear power plant not too far from there you were not even aware of. You would be so surprised how things will turn out when your happiness is dependent on the move. Is there something else you want to add, Holly, to? Because at this point, I think that's.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that's helpful. It just does feel like a position where like the things aren't really aligning for a move. Yeah. Nothing is really happening like that. So it feels like the situation where.
Yeah, as you know, Holly, because
to happen. because of my desire.
Yeah. As you know, that Tara, and because you come often, here to meet with us here on Saturday, you know that for quite a while, Tara and I were thinking about moving to California. Do you remember that? I don't know if we talked about that.
I knew a little. I heard
Yes.
a little. Yeah.
Yes. And we were looking at the same thing in terms of things, lining up, and we're, quite seriously looking at that. We did quite a few trips. We actually explored many other states too, just looking at that question. And very interesting. This went on for a few years, and then at some point there's been some change that has occurred internally rather than externally, where this has this change internally changed. We found that all is well here, and it's sort of settled in just being happy where we are now. If in your case you're finding that things still aren't lining up, then you need to honor that and be okay with that, and see how it unfolds. You don't know how it will unfold. You keep it open because it may have an interest in moving, wherever you're thinking of moving, or you may not even know exactly where you want to move. And there will be some answer that will come to you. It may come to you in terms of situations changing that say, okay, go there, or it may come to you internally where you will that will dissolve, or even internally, even though the situation may not be very clear in your life, there might be suddenly a very strong desire that that's what I want to do, and then you will do it no matter what.
Yeah.
So I would wait for that, for whichever scenario will unfold, and at the same time, which I know you are doing, I will continue my contemplation that the self is universal, and everything that unfolds for you unfolds from beyond. Where you are, what partners you're with, what experiences you have, what relationship you have with your parents, what relationship you have with your friends at work, all of that unfolds from beyond. It arises to you from beyond. To recognize that we are the light of being. We are all of it. That this we are the radiant self, and that our happiness is our true nature. The happiness is our true nature, and freedom is unconditional, is our true nature. It is what we are. To sort of contemplate that and invite that and be open to that, for that to reveal itself more and more into your life, into your being. And it's a very beautiful thing. It will also help people around you. So invite that wisdom to shine itself through you. And I know you are doing that already, but just speak to that a little bit. Yeah?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Holly. Okay, nice to talk to you. Okay, well, everyone, thank you very much for your beautiful company and your questions and your friendship. So Happy New Year to you all, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you, Ananda.